Thank you for joining Plain Pap Church for online service today. Please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly uploads.
Exceedingly, abundantly, above all you could ask for, according to the power that worketh in you. God is able to do just what He said He would do. He's gonna fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God, 'cause He won't give up on you. He's able. How many believe it tonight? Yeah.
Sermon preview.
Last week we began to take a helicopter ride so as to get an eye-in-the-sky view of where the life stories of Joseph and Moses, both of the Old Testament scriptures, intersect, and the geographical location where their lives crisscross is at no other place than at Egypt, because it was there that Joseph invited his kin and their cultural brothers and sisters to receive sustenance during a famine which struck the Mediterranean region. And after 400 years of their human labors under the weight of oppression, it was to that location that the earnest prayers of a suffering people beckoned Almighty God to send a deliverer to set them free. And Moses led them out under the direction of the strong hand of God. But those two events didn't take place in one century. Each event was centuries removed from the other. Profiles in courage. Joseph, the man who invited Israel into Egypt, and Moses, he who led them out.
Welcome to Testimony Time. We understand that some of you are working on writing down your accounts of what God has done for you, but we won't be able to share them if you don't submit them. You may have a Jesus joy smile on your face, but the congregation won't know about the work of God in your life until you share it. So please, say so, redeemed ones. Do you have a burning testimony that you want to give? Then please, tell us what God has done for you by using the email listed on the screen. Do you have an offering, tithe, or donation that you would like to give Plain Path? Then please, use the information on the screen to do so as well. For any further questions, please contact us via email or reach out to our church officials. Now it is time for the sermon.
Last week we began to take a helicopter ride so as to get an eye-in-the-sky view of where the life stories of Joseph and Moses, both of the Old Testament scriptures, intersect, and the geographical location where their lives crisscross is at no other place than at Egypt, because it was there that Joseph invited his kin and their cultural brothers and sisters to receive sustenance during a famine which struck the Mediterranean region. And after 400 years of their human labors under the weight of oppression, it was to that location that the earnest prayers of a suffering people beckoned Almighty God to send a deliverer to set them free. And Moses led them out under the direction of the strong hand of God. But those two events didn't take place in one century. Each event was centuries removed from the other.
And now, let us continue with part 2 of our sermon series.
Profiles in courage. Joseph, he who invited the Israelites into Egypt, and Moses, he who led them out. Spontaneous combustion is what we call it when a fire is started by, for example, having a concentrated beam of light strike dry leaves or some other substance which is predisposed to igniting. It is a common phenomenon to see things of fire in the desert, but normally the fire eats up the object which it engulfs and then that fire extinguishes itself, if all that is available for it to feed on is some substance like dirt. But the fire which was ignited to cause Moses to come aside toward and to turn his attention to God was one which illuminated the bush without consuming its substance, so that the flame which engulfed the bush on fire never petered out, nor was the bush reduced to being merely a few cinders, but instead it retained its essence while still remaining ablaze. And when Moses stepped aside to closely observe this great sight, the angel of God's presence spoke to him out of the burning bush, commissioning him to be that deliverer whose charge it was to tell old Pharaoh that it was time to let God's people go. Despite the call's reticence to quickly believe, he was not called doubting Moses, as was Thomas, though he required the rod that a serpent became, and the waters which turned to blood when poured upon the ground. And though Aaron's younger brother inquired of deity of his special name, God stayed the course in what his chosen representative's assignment was, recommending that Moses inform the Egyptian leader that I Am had sent him. And though the younger brother asserted that his glib-tongued elder better fit the bill, God still waited on the person of his choice, the youngest of the three, Aaron, Miriam, and he, to fill that special assignment, and reserved that essential employment, pressing beyond the candidate's diffidence, to cause that man to realize that the eternal wonder had the capacity to do whatsoever he said that he would. And though there were times when the human leader was not so self-assured, yet because the omnipresent one was with him, Moses became possibly the greatest pastor of one of the largest megachurches ever to speak for God himself. And though during the beginning of and the middle of the negotiations between Moses and himself, the Pharaoh asserted that he himself was a god, by the end of his journey, as his chariot wheels ground heavily into the seabed, and his conveyance remained stuck in its sandy bottom, while from heaven God was sending the command for the river to close, here on earth Moses was echoing that gesture. For the Egyptian leader had crossed the line and gone 5 steps too far. So the waters began to envelop that self-proclaimed God, and he began at his last to realize and finally knew that the God of Israel reigned, and that man, by interfering with God's people, might have to, in this case, thrash his way out of a watery grave for enraging his Maker, that righteous judge with whom we all have to do. But for Pharaoh and the other pursuers of the righteous, this time there would be no way out. Profiles in courage. Joseph, the man who invited Israel into Egypt, and Moses, he who led them out.
Thank you for joining Plain Pap Church for online service. If you enjoyed the word today, don't forget to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We hope that you have a blessed week, saints. Until next time.